Simin Tafresh Lametes, Sif Aleph. It says, Basukais Teishu Shivas Yamim. V'lamdu Piashmua Teishvu Ke'ein Taduru. A person should sit in the sukkah in the same manner that he lives in his house. Kederech, Kiloimar, Kederech, Shudar, Kol Hashana Bevesei. His Kikase Torah required him, the Niach Dirasei, the Lodder Kan Besukkah in the Toisav, Atsoisav, of clay, Tashmishay. That a person needs to bring his things, his sheets, and his kalim into the sukkah. Mikan amr chachamim kol shivas yamim adam oisa beisei arei v'sukkasei kva. A person all 7 days of sukkahs is meant to make his sukkah the ikar and his bayis arei. Keitzad Oyeloi, Matzois nois, Kalim noim, Maim sukkah. You have nice sheets, nice kalim, bring them to the sukkah. Kain kol klish siyat tzrichem loi. Anything you need to drink, Yi'imai bebeisai, besukkah, kederach shemim beisai hashana. You have a pitcher, a cup, bring it to the sukkah. Avo kalim shemashim and kemach, v'arebeis, v'kalim shemayim and sichim leis besukkah. Someone has kalim which you keep flour in them. You store your flour in there, or you knead flour in dough, or larger kalim that hold water. And then water did not come, there was no running water. Water came, you had to go and take the water from the well. So there was, in the house, they used to have a keli, Shel mayim, like a large keli full of water. That you don't bring into the sukkah. Why? Sha'at b'chol hashana ein dvarim elu gil liyis imay beveis dirase bayis yesh lohem bil vadim. Because even these things, a whole year long, a person does not keep them in his own home. It's in a storage room. In the house, there are different rooms. You don't, the place where you eat, in your living room, your dining room, where you sleep, you don't keep such type of kelim. So base kli achila achila, food vessels after you finish eating. You're going kaderes or kaides, shach achila ma'usim. After you eat, they're dirty. So if it's in the sukkah, you're not supposed to leave dirty dishes in the sukkah. Chein dliya kacha shemim mayim leyichnisim otech hasukkah. Chein leyasa shum tashash bazei b'sukkah. A person shouldn't do any disgraceful usage in the sukkah. Chein shtifas kedeides v'kaides. For example, washing dishes. So should not be mavaz in the mitzvah sukkah. A person's allowed to wash cups. Cups are clean, not dirty. You can wash them in the sukkah. Hamanoida, where should one keep the leichter? What you have the lamp. You need it in the sukkah. When you're home, you have it in your home. You should put it in the sukkah. Well, sukkah tana, if one owns a small sukkah and he's concerned that maybe the flames will catch on to the walls of the sukkah, it will burn the sukkah. You have to leave it outside the sukkah. Well, the chiddush over here is afili hishazav. Even if your light or your lamp is gold, a golden lamp, and you're worried that people will see it, maybe you'll steal it, you're still not allowed to leave in the sukkah because of a small sukkah. The chance will catch on fire. The minig is not to bring an earthenware lamp, even into a big sukkah, because it's not a nice lamp, and therefore not to bring into the sukkah. Now, I want to point out that this issue of bringing in a lichter is negaya to us today, because when we light Yom Tov candles or Shabbos licht, where do you put the licht? So if if you're able to, you have obviously it's better to put in the sukkah. If you have an extra table, you have a large table, you're able to put in the middle, or you have a table on the side in the sukkah. If you have space. However, if you don't have space and it's dangerous, then you should light indoors, and you light in a place where you're going to see candles, in the dining room, in the kitchen, in a place where you will be able to benefit, have hana from the licht on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So everything depends on the situation. A person has to make the call and see where they if they could do it or not. Sift al mitzvahs, kates a mitzvah yeshiva b'sukkah. She oichel v'shoyse v'yashim yitayel v'dar b'sukkah shivas hayamim b'yem b'layla. Kedere shudar b'beisai. Mashar yimais hashana. He should live there like day and night, like as if he lives at home. He needs to talk with his friend. He should talk with him in the sukkah. Palali shadavar. La'olam yidme alav sukkase iluhi beise. A person should always view his sukkah as if it's his home. Anything you wouldn't do outside your house, don't do it outside the sukkah. Therefore, call Shivas Hayam Sukkah. A person wants to read Tanakh. He wants to learn. He should learn in the sukkah. Unless you're going to learn in the Beis Medrash. If you're trying to understand properly and learn in depth, you can go outside the sukkah. In order that your mind should be settled by you. Outdoors is very nice and pleasant to be able to learn properly. Still in all, a person needs to make judgment calls on their own. If you have more rest, it's easier for you to learn the sukkah. You have to learn the sukkah. If you need a lot of svarim to use, if you're able to make a shelf, a place in your sukkah that you can put these svarim, if you have enough space that you're not going to need to remove these svarim when you eat, when you're sleeping, and bring it back afterwards when you want to learn. If you have enough space, you have to learn in the sukkah. However, if it's difficult because you don't have a large enough sukkah to have your svarim with you the whole time, and you're gonna need to bring them back and forth, all these svarim. A person is not mechuyev. Shekol tirchi yisera sheina adam star meneas atzmoi mitir chazuk de'leisha b'sukkah b'kaviyos b'veisa b'kaviyos. A person is not obligated to do things they wouldn't do in their home. When someone's in their home, what would they do in their home? So, in your sukkah, would you have space to bring your spot in there? If you don't have the space and you're going to have to move things around, people don't live. A person sets up their home in a comfortable way, in an easy way. They shouldn't need to be stressed about it. If this is a stressful thing, you don't need to learn in the sukkah. Sif Hey, I'm Spalal, Sif Simon Tafresh Lamates, Sif Hey. I'm Spalam Yesha Menucha Beit Sukkah, Shicha Spal Shema Kavana, Tzach Lichnis, Rekanis, the Sukkah, the Spalal. Someone who's davening, if he's able to daven with Kavana in the Sukkah, he should go in there. The rest of the year, when you're not able to go to shul, where do you daven? At home. Daven in your sukkah. Your sukkah is your home. We're talking about a place where there is no shul. Or he can't go to shul for some reason. Obviously, if you have a shul, you're able to go to shul, go there. If you can't, where should you go? Go to your sukkah. Go to inside your sukkah and learn. Sivav, it's Simon Tafrei Shlamates. Tafrei Shlamates Sivav. Hamavla Kois of Lichanis Sukkah. Lahavdil Sham. Shvishari makes a shana, nichas the base Lahavdil Sham. Someone who makes Havdalah. Someone who makes Havdalah should enter into the sukkah to make Havdalah. That's the proper place to make Havdalah in the sukkah. Because the rest of the year, you make Havdalah at home. Make Havdalah now in the sukkah. The halacha is, one is allowed to eat like small amounts. We'll see soon what that means later on. Chutz the sukkah, outside the sukkah. However, also lishin afilo shinas arab. So shina, sleep is stricter than achila. That even a shinas arai, you're not allowed to do outside the sukkah. Shiva shina in lechalik ben arai lekeva. Pam in a person has a small nap. Sometimes that's enough for him. Leficha zuhi shinas kvashali. That is for him a kaviyus. You have to go into the sukkah. So when it comes to achila, we differentiate between aray and keva. Sheina, we differentiate between Shena, we differentiate between we don't differentiate between aray and keva. Anytime you have to go into the sukkah. Once we're discussing Shina B'Sukkah, the Alter Rebbe is now going to digress to discuss when you're chayiv to sleep in the sukkah. Sivches. B'mekayim sakarim in cold climates, areas with a cold climate, the tsar lishin b'sukkah hasakar, a person has discomfort of sleeping in the sukkah because it's cold. He might not have proper quilts to be able to withstand the cold outside, outdoors. At home, the home is insulated. Besides being insulated, you have a bonfire there. So it's not like outside. If you're eating in the sukkah, you're sleeping in the sukkah, you need proper blankets and quilts. So the shaila is that these proper blankets and pillows, if you don't have them, you don't own them, you don't need to sleep in the sukkah. What happens if you do have? Even if you have proper, you have a good sleeping bag, you can go outdoors and sleep outside. You don't have that excuse. Meaning she'd started the troyach with Sion, if a person doesn't have enough room in his sukkah for all the 7 days that he can put his mattress, his blankets, his pillow in the sukkah, if he's going to have to remove it every time he goes to have his meal, having his meal, he has to schlep out the mattress. He is not chayiv to sleep in the sukkah. No one argues on this. It's a clear din. Why? If a person had every night in his home, he had to do this. in his dining room, he'd have to have in the same room. He didn't have a bedroom and a dining room separate, kitchen dining room separate. It's all one room, and he has no space. You have to move it out to pick up the mattress and move it to the side. So a person's not going to want such an apartment, not much a home. Who wants to live in such a home? So the same thing is in the sukkah. Any solution in the sukkah should call mitzvah b'shiva sukkah pater b'shivasa. The pater. So this is a klal gadol. Either you don't have the proper blankets to sleep outside, it's in cold places, or you do have, but it's difficult. Which 99% of people I don't believe have such large sukkahs that they're able to have a bedroom there in the sukkah, and they leave it there, and then they have the food. They're going to have to schlep aside, pick up the mattress, schlep it aside. So you're minhadin pater from the sukkah. Siftes. V'achshav nago in lahakav shika shina b'sukkah. Sheishayim b'sukkah hakamadaktikim mitzvahs. Nowadays, says the Alter Rebbe, this is a quote from the Ramah. From the Ramah already says that Ashkenazim, they weren't sleeping in the sukkah. And even if it wasn't cold, because they didn't have anything to do. Now the oilam is not sleeping in the sukkah. And we see just medaktik in the mitzvah sleep in the sukkah. So why is this the case? You don't have the heter. If you have a legitimate heter like we have in Sifchas, good. But if you don't have a legitimate heter, why are you not sleeping in the sukkah? So, v'yesh shalamdu aleim schus are those that learn schus on them. The Taz has a limud schus. The mishenasi, someone who's married, shechayiv l'samech tzisha b'regel, he has a chiyuv to make sure his wife is happy in Yom Tov, simchas Yom Tov. V'nashim through the sukkah, women are pater from sukkah. It's a mitzvah seish hazman grama. They're pater. If someone does not want to separate from his wife, it's called a dvar mitzvah. Mitzvah, pater mitzvah cheres. Anyone who's involved in one mitzvah, it's pater from a different mitzvah. You're doing one mitzvah, you don't have to do another mitzvah. I'm doing one mitzvah. So right now, after Simchas Yom Tov. V'alkeinu pater mishina b'sukkah v'layla. He's pater mishina b'sukkah by nighttime. If he's sleeping at night, he's pater b'sukkah. What happens if his ishta einet tahira? Filin ishta einet tahira. So she's anyways, you can't be with her. Kol makim shayich simcha. K'shavayla m'syachet ima b'cheder achek. The woman feels a certain security, a good feeling when the husband is there in the same room. So since she doesn't want to go to the sukkah, because she's pater from the sukkah, so therefore he doesn't have to go to the sukkah. Alter Rebbe finishes off. Mikol makim toiv lahach mishilei sukkah miyuchades sheyuchol isha shem ishti v'kayim shtem. It would be best to have your own private sukkah, second sukkah. And there, you can sleep with your wife, and you'll be able to have both mitzvahs at the same time. But what comes out l'maisir, this limud schus of the Taz, is only l'misha nasa isha, not married. There was a minig in Ashkenaz. There was a minig recorded by the Ramah, the Akimesha, all the Paiski, the Noisei Klei, Shulchan Aruch, all discuss this minig, that they were not sleeping in the sukkah. This didn't have to do with a cold climate. They didn't sleep in the sukkah regardless. The shaila was why. It was only medaktik in mitzvahs. So I just want to point a little bit, just clarity. This is a halacha psukkah in Shulchan Aruch, in Alter Rebbe, Mishabura. This is standard psukkah. This was a minig. People not necessarily realize it, but there was a minig for a very long period of time where people were not sleeping in the sukkah. This is befurish in the Ramah, in the Dakimayish, is clear. It's cold. No. And Siv Tassi says that they had a minig oilam b'chlal. They don't sleep in the sukkah, even if it was not a cold year. And we try to just find reasons for this minig. They didn't say it was a terrible minig and it's an avarian and you're oiker Torah. There was some type of minig, and only medaktik and mitzvahs were going to the sukkah. So, Chabad doesn't sleep in the sukkah. So the shaila became, why does the Chabad sleep in the sukkah? You could ask the question, but you can't come, with becherev and bechanis. You don't sleep in the sukkah. This was an old minig traditionally that, especially in the Rav, the Chashav Yidin, the Shtad, Chassidim, they go sleep in the sukkah. You can ask why they don't sleep in the sukkah. It's not a problem. There was a minig. They didn't sleep in the sukkah. The Paiskin weren't mevatel the minig. They didn't say you have to stop this minig. You have to find reasoning for it. The shaila is why we're not medaktik in this. That's the shaila. And especially that we're so careful that Chabad, we're so careful to eat things and drink everything in sukkah, even though you're not mechuyev. Like we learned earlier, Bekitzer and Zayin, that Achilas Ara is part of the sukkah. We'll see more about it later on. Now we're dealing with Shina, but later on the dinim in Sifyat Aleph, that you can even wash and eat a certain amount outside the sukkah. It's not sort of Achilas Kva minatin. So there's a lot of wiggle room for heterim and different things, and the Babish doesn't want to take these things. It wants to be yoitza, what it says in the Mishnah, what's Masha, what comes up in the Mishnah, the Rambam brings it, that whoever even drinks water in the sukkah is that he's a Mishul. So you're so careful with Achil and Shia. How can you not careful with Shina B'sukkah? How can you not like the Medaktik of Mitzvahs? It's a good kasha. That's a good kasha. So there is the answer to that question is it's a Pikabala. Pikabala, there's very high oiris kedusha being mayor in the sukkah, and since it's very high oiris of kedusha being mayor in the sukkah, it's like a helika platz. It's a holy place. You don't sleep in a holy place. When you sleep, you don't always. You're not in full control of your body. You're not always act appropriately. You don't sleep in a makim kaddish. This is a sukkah, is a helika platz. That's a pikabala. However, the Rebbe, that's the part of the thing. It's a pikabala. Sometimes we take a certain thing in nigla or makel and in nigla to do something a pikabala. Many times we have this concept in different areas where Chassidim would be makel in something like a shita, which is more lakula nigla, in order to be yaitza the Kabbalah. Now, the Rebbe had a sicha which he was bothered with. This is in the Tishrei Tafshin Lamed. He spoke 3 times about this whole thing of Shina B'Sukkah. He was bothered that how could it be that from Nister comes out that is an Inyan sleep in the Sukkah. For Nigla comes out, there's an Inyan Shadafka sleep in the Sukkah. That's a Madak. Father the Rebbe, isn't this one Torah? We have one part of the Torah pushing you one way, another part of the Torah pushing you to a different direction. Isn't it Torah Achas? Isn't the Nister just the behind the scenes of the Nigla? It's not a different Torah, Shtei Torahs. We got Matan Torah 2 things. Some people do this, some people do that. No. The Kabbalah is the side of what we do in Nigla. It's the background and the side is what we do in Nigla. Why should the background, the nefesh of the Nigla, say something different than what Nigla is saying? Nigla is the Ratzon Hashem and the Kabbalah is the Ratzon Hashem. Should both be pointing in the same direction. Torah Achas. The Gra was also very into the idea of Torah Achas. Rabbi Yosef Engel, the famous guy in Rabbi Yosef Engel, he actually has a whole kuntas to show this concept of to show the concept of certain yichudim that I mentioned about being yached, yichudim of different spheres. He shows that this is hinted out all over Nigla, but this was bothering the Rebbe that he went and launched into a sicha with the whole lamdis, how to explain how could this be in Torah Achas. He wasn't coming to explain why, halachically speaking, why I don't sleep in the sukkah. State the Shulchan Aruch. Why we're not medakted the mitzvah pikabala? The Rebbe was already by stage 3. The Rebbe is busy with how do we put the 2 parts of Torah together. Traditionally, there were Chabad Chassidim that did sleep in the sukkah. There were certain Chashav Chassidim who did sleep in the sukkah. But after they ever spoke about it a lot of times and explained the whole idea, and it became like no one's sleeping in the sukkah. You're not going to find, in Chabad, no one's sleeping in the sukkah.
They don't sleep at all. No.
You're about to some Sheva, so
Here they don't sleep. They don't sleep at all.
they say, I don't know. They say that the Rebbe was up. I don't know. I don't know the Mitzvahs.
They never slept in bed.
I don't know the Mitzvahs. I can't say the Mitzvahs. I wasn't in the room. I don't know what the Rebbe did. So
That's what's that.
can't say. We don't know for sure. We know for sure. But um, there were other Chassidim also didn't. But later on, it became that makubal. Bells they used to have in their luach used to say that the minig in bells not to sleep in the sukkah. Later on, they took it out. They changed it. But politically, they had to do with politics. And so they joined like a different group. So that group, they had to make sure they were sleeping in the sukkah. So that line came out of their luach. That line, but like people still have the old luach. I asked once a Belzer, Belzer in Bar Park. I asked him, Belzer in Gaman, like you guys, what you Taka don't sleep in the sukkah? What's the story? Says, nah, today we all sleep in the sukkah, but the old Belzers, he says, didn't sleep in the sukkah. The original Belzers, they Taka didn't sleep. So, by the way, Stamaza in Europe, it was very cold. Cold is the heter ches. Cold is nothing to discuss. Ches is a 100% legitimate heter, cold. But sometimes you have a nice sukkis and also Eretz Yisrael. So it's not cold sukkis. So you don't have that heter. Then you're jumping to test that there was a minig not to sleep in the sukkah. I mean, my Zayda al Shalom told me he remembered how his Zayda was a real Chassidish Yid, the Rosh Chassid, was sitting in the sukkah with snow, knee deep in the sukkah. So these places in Ukraine, in Russia, there are places that could be snowing on sukkahs. But these were big Chassidim. They would actually have shilas. They would have to have the goy remove the snow on the top. They had to deal with snow sukkah's time.
Every day they were sacrificing themselves to be Jewish.
Okay, well, I'm talking about a time period before, during Tsarist times. Before they had plenty of anti-Semitism and pogroms, but they were able to practice religion freely until communism. Yeah.
They have ACs now. The AC nice.
They have AC. Right? AC in the sukkah.
People have a sing.
People have everything, yeah. Well, some people open the roof. So open the roof, you're good to go,
In the house.
They have the roof opens up and
In the house.
in the house or like some type of porch that they have. So just have to make sure you close it, before it rains. And
So probably when it goes on top.
could be a hefsek. It could be. It's not good for. It's not kosher for schach. So if you have like a small sprinkling is one thing, but if you have a layer,
See, God.
yeah.
So then there, as I say, said Robert explained, he tried to how to reconcile Kabbalah. So
I don't know, we hear on the
how did there ever reconcile it?
Rough gave a shirt on slats.
Yeah. I remember the general outline, but because I didn't see it lately, I don't want to say not to say not pro.
You built up to it. I thought for sure you were going to go in.
I remember part of it. So I just don't remember. The cloud that ever starts off with one mahalach, which is based on the Rogachover, who learns that Shina is not integral to the. It's not a positive thing you have to do in the sukkah. You're not allowed to sleep outside the sukkah. Lumdus. Not chila, you have to eat in the sukkah. You're eating in the sukkah, you're mekayim mitzvah. Shina, you're not mekayim a mitzvah by shina of the sukkah. You're just not allowed to sleep outside the sukkah. So therefore, if for some reason you're putter from sleeping in the sukkah, you're mitzvah, you're putter from sleeping in the sukkah, it's not pshat that you're missing something had to do with the fact that someone who knows and is aware about the kedusha that's in the sukkah would have a certain tsar by feeling that he's sleeping in the sukkah in such a place. So the problem is when someone says, I don't have that feeling. But does it bother you that you don't have that feeling? So how far do we go? You know? So,
Somebody told me the reason Chabad doesn't sleep in the sukkah because if they do sleep in the sukkah, you'll see the Lubavitcher standing outside the sukkah and say, "Hey, sir, you slept today? Come inside."
in Niagara Falls, so a lot of people like to go on Chalamoy, they go to Niagara Falls. So Niagara Falls, the Chabad in Niagara Falls offers you cats in the sukkah for a price. So you can order your cat to sleep in the sukkah. You know, so Chabad offers cats for sleeping in the sukkah.
Niagara Falls is such a
The problem is that they because they use the sukkah, they're also for, I guess, for eating and things like that. So they have a condition that by 7 o'clock you gotta get off your cot and they're gonna fold up the cot. So you rent your cot for a certain amount of hours every night. At 7 o'clock you gotta get out and get up. So
not so warm.
yeah, there it's not so warm.
Yeah, October.
There are many times which minadin it's mamish
You got
patim
frost.
b'sukkah, mamish without pollution pickle.
Frost.
There is b'chalal shilas in Europe where many years b'chalal, like what happened? They made a leisha a sukkah b'chalal, meaning if they had a cold sukkah, so what did they do? For a part of the whole sukkah from going into the sukkah, it was a mamish tsar. Call them tsar patim in a sukkah.
Well, if you're with a coat, you can for a half hour outside, not so bad.
Would you sit in? Would you rent an Airbnb that has would you buy a house that you have to constantly sit with a coat in the whole time? You're right. You could.
Probably, I'm saying they probably ate, but
Okay, the emes is like in Sifchas, he says if you have proper pillows and blanket, you have proper quilts, and you have space, so you should take a sleep in the sukkah.
for eating, which is a lot shorter period of
My
time.
own personal memory when I was younger was that I don't remember the oilam, and I grew up in Kensington. I don't remember that the oilam slept in the sukkah. Remember the Rav slept in the sukkah. Like I think as the years went along, like a lot of things in America, the oilam became more mahader, and now everyone, the father, all the kids, everyone's going to the sukkah. But I don't think that 40 years ago this was the mitzias in America that the whole family was going to the sukkah. Chashaviyid was going in the sukkah, but Amcha people were not sleeping in the sukkah. Am I correct?
My father told me a feeling being catch. But if I remember that, the sleep in the sugar. I believe that shiny.
Shiny. Shiny Shulchan Aruch, medaktik mitzvahs, klar. All the poskim say medaktik mitzvahs slept in the sukkah. Now, just like Chadash and other Yonim, today the oilam is mahader, and everyone became medaktik mitzvahs. It's okay. It's a nishkin shlach zach. But the thing is, it doesn't have to look down at someone that still keeps their mesoida for whatever reason that they're not makbid certain things.
Season, I think it's very nice and that's very sure.
They don't. The lamaisa the psak.
Sarah's in the sugar, right?
But the lamaisa the minig was not to sleep in the sukkah.
Could be Sierra,
Try to figure out what the reason is.
Star.
Trying to figure out the reason the poskim. Now, Shiloh is what they were doing 40 years ago.
In the season, you were shot. It's now the also.
Now, but when you remember 40 years ago, 50, what was happening? Were they sleeping in the sukkah?
It's on the ground, slept in the sugar and he's Flabush.
He's a vadam adaktim. He's not mashalim sem malacha chashavim. I'm saying Amcha Yidim was sleeping in the sukkah.
We had a great slump. So it's going on for nights in the
First time you're lot. 50 years.
about the sugar? It's actually.
No, this is the Ramah. I mean, the Alter Rebbe is bringing the Ramah, and
I think the weather in Russia is British and refrigerator. Also, it's not the Ishtai. It has to be well, the Ishtai and Mishtai.
He mentions that.
right, Yeshilim Daleim Schus. But you have many times throughout Shulchan Aruch these type of things, where we find a minig that seems to be based on hard to understand, like the basis for the minig. It has like a flimsy leaning to it. But we don't find, in most cases, we don't find the place can come and say, out of that minig, you do that, your mamisha oiker, a mitzvah, we don't find that shprach. There's certain limudis chosim to work out why this minig came. Amcha, Klal Yisrael just dropped something. What's the reason for it? And obviously, medactic and mitzvahs don't want to rely on those heterim.
Since the Balatanya of the Moshe Chabad, since the Balatanya of the Sukkah, this is something.
Eifin Kalali, there were certain Yidden that did stick with the Sukkah. There were some very Chatavi Yidden.
When did they stop sleeping?
We find the earliest recording that the Mittel Rebbe heard that the Lungalite was sleeping in the Sukkah. He came and told him, the Shlafben and Makif, and the Makif from Bina, Makif the Sukkah. Like he was upset that the Kedush of Sukkah and he's sleeping in it. So it was an Inyan Api Kabbalah.
Why no?
MS, we should be from the medactic of mitzvahs be'emes. It's had the Kabbalah reason, like a lot of inyanim. Be'etzem we should do certain things. It's had Kabbalah, we don't.
But they say the Rebbe, it's like a dream. She said,
People say things. I don't know. I don't know what he did at night. I don't know what wasn't there. I don't know.
I'm food, bomb thing. Sachmanu, for example, Shmini says is also the whole BPP. As me Rosh of Nation Zays with me Sikamani. So Luis with Simmer, he started eating Shmini says but not before me only with Simmer. I work Polish of seeds.
Didn't.
You know, Ukraine, yes. I'm best in this.
The Chabad do eat in the sukkah, and the Shmini says like regular. Regular. The Shmini says everyone is different. Shmini says. What?
No sukkah. Starts with no sukkah.
You have a meaning, everybody say?
You'd want. Makes me to our time to come.
I'm just saying it's always good. A person could come out now, Lamashal Chadash. The idea that the oil was making with Chadash in Europe for hundreds of years, oil was making with Chadash. And it also, there's very schwache reasons, limud schos in the back, certain limud schos to explain this. Rely on a certain das yachid, that it only applies in Eretz Yisrael, not in Chutz La'aretz, different svaras. So the Shulchan Aruch says, amachot bracha, a person be'etzem amachot bracha, because this minig has Kalamaishos for hundreds of years, the minig in Klai. So this is always Geshat Mamaila. That's the way it was. Now we came in America. 60 years ago, 70 years in America, no one was being medactic in it. The oilam got Baruch Hashem bigger, we got wealthier, everyone got better. Oh, why are we making Chadash? Oilam's not being making Chadash. The Rebbe said a sikh in the early years. He said, go around in Brooklyn and see if anyone's being making Chadash. It was a dogma, an example he gave. But late now you go around, of course you find hundreds of thousands of people.
Been 40 years ago, except for how many church or how much like the Shiva will mock it.
I don't remember seeing that as a little kid.
We still adore it. We didn't want to mock it in bed.
And just say
The cookies, the essence cookies.
M&M's, what's on the ingredients?
Trying
Now it's
to-
in the 60s? Was it kosher or not?
60s.
OR? Okay, we can eat. What else on straight away? Then because I'm a sugar. Serious. I bet. Sugar, corn syrup, kosher.
That's just the rumor.
The comment is back then that
You were
they didn't
there?
even write the real ingredient.
What? You were there? Amish was like, wow.
I was on that transport here with Shabbat.
Really?
I did a 10 to 5. I
Wow.
told the oil, plan B, we have to go to the oil. Go there for Shabbos.
Wow. They said
that would make more
on the
sense.
plane you guys were discussing?
Of course, Shaman was already waiting for us. There's no one like us. At the Satmar Chevra, as you will know, Biyah.
What happened?
Shaman was already there. They said, Kiryas Yisrael and Muncie, you ain't going anywhere. They said, don't go to Uber, don't go on a taxi, you're going to step out the whole Shabbos. They were right. First of all, till you get out of the JFK, it's full of construction, and you have to try going down to JFK.
They put you in yellow buses, no?
I was on the yellow bus, on Achim Sinif. So, what do? Plan A, Plan B. Dann muss ich sagen, der Ben spricht der Ben Tam,
Oh.
der mir war Akkum, but yeah, but right, because that's only the tea shops.
So the summer would have a problem with that, no?
But we have a problem.
Yeah.
And Breslau has a problem with it. Breslau doesn't go with that.
Depending, actually, yeah, it's going to have their own. So they told we get off the customs. They shoot us to the left to get out as quick as we can. We take our luggage. They say go on the air train and go to Lefferts Boulevard where the big parking lot is. Went to Lefferts Boulevard, and they had the guys who had shits human water bottles, benches, trucks to collect the luggage, and they put the Williamsburg guys on post bus and the Bergman guys on. I saw there was more than one bus, but I said, I'm in Flatbush. Well, go on the bus. So worst case scenario is if I went by Shkia, I will knock on somebody's door, put my luggage and walk home. I see as two shaman trucks going this way. We hear off the flats here, and you'll go through the 30s. People are going to shoot.
What time is it?
6:25.
Wow.
So I call my wife. She says, "Get off the bus," because they're going down L. So I said, "I do know to eat. Let me off. My house is 2 blocks away. You'll catch up." I open the door. I got off the bus. I called my wife. "Don't send left. Pick me up." So she said, "Go down to K." I ran out my luggage to K because I needed.
You had your luggage on the bus with you?
Yeah, because that's small pieces. And she picked me up. It was 6:34, 6:35. I jumped into the shower. Sheets and left. 6:43 about it. I was out of the shower. I went to Frankel. I went to Shino Place. Got down to the garbage. Get me to the mikvah. Got my phone. Got the This is
Wow. What a story.
never in my life. I went on Aerofly, Air Ukraine. A lot of
What was it? What airline was this?
people lost tickets and they paid for new tickets. They came on flight. I said, "Oh, you gave it to them 20. They're good. People. I'm 4 hours closed. Well, that's a 4 hours more than that to close.
How did you go? You went from the border. What was it?
We went to Moldova, and we waited like almost 4 hours by the border. So we took a hotel. Burning the hand is with 200 bush.
Was it one person?
I'm trying to
We'll go to the
Count
plane.
me in.
We'll go to Holland, that the plane would be the biggest thing.
I'll be the one.
trying to
The plane's
Huh?
like 2 hours. We got on the plane.
What airline?
High Sky.
That's
I tried to.
That's what it was.
No one knows
Yeah.
what it was.
Well, but I think it was. No pillows, no blankets, $5 for a bottle of water. You want kosher food? $35. Six don't go back. That's on this small things. This bathroom's not working. Stewards, can you fill up the bathroom with tissues? That doesn't.
Will you go next year?
No, they're not.
No, will you go next year? No.
Hold on a second.
They just answer you twice in a minute.
Wow.
Oh, the real best of it.
No, 1 second. Would I go knowing this will happen?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's a Shulchan Aruch. You're not allowed to go.
You're not supposed to go there.
You're not allowed to go. That's what we mean 9/11.
Shit.
I had a ticket 9/11. Let's do the same thing.
Yeah.
Rosh Hashanah came out Tuesday, Wednesday. I was supposed to go Motzei Shabbos. 9/11 happened Tuesday before.
Yeah.
Big oil. All the Wednesday people went out to lunch. They tried to get new tickets. They went to Kasher. They came to my mamish by the shkia by this
Talk
mom
about
Kohen.
25 years ago?
Yeah,
Wow.
I lost my ticket. I said to myself, I'm not going Sunday morning. I'm just not doing it. The answer is no. You understand? You're not allowed to go lechatchila like that. But no one thought it'll pan out this way. Lechatchila river, right? That's against right?
Wow, come on.
So Lamaisa, everyone made it. What did they do with the Williamsburg guy? The guys from Muncie Hill. What state of Williamsburg?
They stelled in Williamsburg. Achila, Sheena, Lena, and Sop knows how to put out a spread.
Where?
In Williamsburg, they took
They had
This
a,
was
they,
Satmar
they took
Shayim,
a
this is
wedding
Satmar
hall
Shayim that
and
worked this
people
out?
My
slept.
question is, when did the Shayim get home? They were driving the ambulance, their cars.
Did
When did they get home?
They go with a minute.
They stayed there. If
Nobody showered. You certainly can't shower anymore. We sat 35 hours in travel. After the flood here. No, after skiing, you need to shower. Pardon me.
Wow, what a story.
Share tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
They're
Tremendous.
talking about an excess. Other than Lag Boima and the Siyam Shas, this is next. Over 60,000 people. Other than what you have on Quran, 100,000, and the Siyam Shas life, this is next.
Mm-hmm. The box. So where do you daven? Where do you choose to go? You have a certain area you like to go to?
I got $12.
What is the clothes mean?
That's the initial stream with 5,000, 6,000. Then the Yaakov.
He's waiting. I mean, everyone wants to get in there, no?
No. Yaakov Shechler had his own people, stand close to 3,000. Sarden, guys, 1,500 out and nothing. That's what the world was. Then the China had a million of 2,000. And the China.
Oh, Louis.
Shlomi Faber, who gave out food, had his own million of close to 1,000. And then other than that, you can't make a place to daven for 60,000 people. Forget about it. You know.
So what happens to the city? The guy move out?
Yeah, like any example,
Go ahead and
by
move out.
oil. Oh, I mean, with my father, Simchas Torah, there was 10,000 people. Well, to the guy, there's no way there was ever 10,000 people in 770. Or did ever made a coffers, no matter what. If you fit the Doiche Godel, 2,000 people, one guy on top of the other, how many is 770 physical, right? No, listen,
Trying to
I
get
told
a
Rabbi
meeting.
Frankel, either you believe in this or you're out of your cotton. No, it's no choice about it.
I moved there.
9. That's what President about.
Our sign will come if you know he's
Sin and opposite.
the breaking silent.
Did I ever say he's Mashiach? So to sich is on. Was it skills? Ich Mashiach. Mashiach kann Geuze sein und sein. Ich kann nicht Geuze sein. You said I'm a mitzvah from Dover Mashiach Ben Hashem like I that he's on. I'll show him college myself. This was Kim Asaki sein and Mashiach from Odom Marisha. I said, "Come Geuze my voice." Was I don't cut that's all. This is not pamphlets. This is all Rav Nosson writes in an Al Matrufa. There's a letter in Al Matrufa. Rav Nosson writes a Shama man Nechem Eterov Tzamagir of Gershon Eyor. Shama mipi kochoy. Kol echad is mekabel tikkun amyuch v'et Rosh Hashanah. Asher Rosh Hashanah misaken hakol. Rafal, what has happened to the Rosh Hashanah misaken hakol. Please.
Is there Chabad
Without
there? Is there Chabad?
this, it's a Chabad, yeah, there's Chabad there. Everybody's doing it.
Is there
We're not
Chabad?
saying the Tzachti, we're not saying. Dank Shpola Zayda, Dank Savannah, there was blood spilled. We killed you. Laughing. They
Yeah.
killed the wrong Rav Nosson. They went against the Rav Nosson. They thought it was the right guy. They killed the Rav Nosson, not Kirikach. There's a whole Yemei clause about what happened over there. You out for blood. Not like the Schleck in Williamsburg. Real
We got
blood.
it. There was a lot of arguments against the Nachman. The Shaita, it wasn't controversial.
You never mind to see it.
Well, Zayda was quick whenever we start talking. When we start
We ever said the Spola was a Chadnasham, a Chatosha, a Chashkechom, I said, I'm not and then was 38 years old.
He was lifting. Very game.
Who? Not.
I
The tiny wrote, I saw it in Chabad, your stuff. Kabbalah Tanya wrote, Ich mit Rav Nachman and an Eins. There was a Sphelik of them, Sphelik of me.
Rabbi Sag, Maxim Atayvan, thank you for joining. Pinchas.
They called him Balatanya.
Rabbi Sag,
He called him a Sarah Elif.
good year. Shana Tayvan Sukkah.
Yeah? They never called him Balatanya Sarah Elif. You know what these words mean. That's his problem.